Hello, this is Heather Biederman for Liberty Librarian. It's a gorgeous summer day in this crazy pandemic world that we live in. I'm happy to be here today. It's just been kind of one of those weird weeks where everything's kind of been odd. I've been looking on Facebook today trying to see if there are signs that things are going to get really bad. I've seen things like one of my Facebook friends stabbed himself in the hand. I think he stabbed himself. It was a little unclear. One of my Facebook friends' cat knocked down there a whole bunch of stuff, and a crystal ball went crashing onto a statue of a goddess and shattered it. A lot of like one of my big events this summer got canceled for us, as a lot of my friends are no longer going to go. I still may go, but it might not be the same. I don't know. I just feel like it's a super weird week. So I'm going to have a beer and we can talk about it, right? This will be my therapy session. I don't really understand why everything's so weird lately. So I thought, like, we'll look at news of the weird today because it is so freaking weird. I've had friends send me stuff that to try to cheer me up, and it sort of has the opposite effect. So I feel like I'm a little grouchy, a little dark, a little bit something else. So how are you doing? Is it a little dark and grumpy for you too? I went on a tangent. I know a lot of people are like, I'm going to eat healthy and it's going to make my brain so much better and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yep. So what did I do this week? I bought 2 cakes. I got a chocolate cake and a red velvet cake, and it's really good, but I've like been holding back on not eating it all because I still feel like a little bit of that Midwestern guilt, a little bit of that je ne sais quoi, la cake. Why not? Oh my God, guys. So cheers to you. I hope you're having a better week than I am. I'm just trying to put a little bit of my brain around what in the heck is going on in the world today. And I've been trying to eat healthy. I've been getting the HelloFresh boxes and stuff to my house. And it was supposed to come yesterday, and it didn't come yesterday. And they said it's supposed to come today, and it hasn't come today. Although technically, I think it could come till 7. So I might hear it actually get delivered while I'm talking to you guys, and I would be thrilled, because after a while, you kind of wonder, it's in a refrigerated box, and it's summer. How good is this stuff going to be? Who even knows? So I've been trying to be healthy, but I saw something in the news of the weird I was going to share with you right away. I go down to Fort Myers Beach, and that Fort Myers area, like about once a year now, usually around spring break time, to go see the Minnesota Twins training camp, which we didn't get to see them play this year because of pandemic, and maybe probably not next year either. But I saw some weird news there. There was a bear. It's about almost a month ago now, but it was. I'm gonna show a picture of it because I just think it's super cute, and I like weird, cute stuff lately. So that's my crime. Let's see if I can get the tab to show. Here we go. So here's the bear, and this bear is adorbs. It's a young juvenile black bear roaming Fort Myers, Florida. It makes you kind of wonder, like, in Minnesota, we get bears every so often, especially northern Minnesota, but all the way down in Fort Myers, Florida, there are bears, black bears running amok. And so this little baby bear was running around. And what they wanted to do, they didn't want to do like a tranquilizer dart on them. So they instead put out a bunch of donuts to lure the bear in. And I was going to say, if you wanted to lure me in, you'd probably put donuts out and I would show up too, maybe cake. But they said in the Fort Myers News Press that the juvenile 250-pound bear spent a good chunk of Tuesday morning walking around the coast city, sort of like I do went on my spring break, and it was search of mates. I mean, that's what you do in a beach town in the spring, don't you? Right? And as always, food. So they didn't want to tranquilize it because there's a lot of people around, and people are like, no, hurt the bear, no. So instead, and they didn't want to like worry because the drugs might not work, right? So they used instead of tranquilizers, they lured them. I think it was with like a humane trap, and the way I understand it. So they bought a bunch of donuts from Krispy Kreme and some blueberry pie scented spray in the trap, and that did the trick. So seriously, I think that is the best trap ever. And if you need to catch anything, like Krispy Kreme donuts, that's the way to go. So what I didn't know, and from this article, they said there's an estimate of about 4,000 black bears in Florida. I'm like, really? Like, I've heard of like, you know, like alligators, and you hear about like other weird creatures like great big snakes in Florida, and, you know, like that kind of thing. But bears, who knew? So anyway, it's like they say, be sure to secure your garbage cans, and you shouldn't put them out the night before pickup because it gives bears more opportunity to get into them. That's the kind of stuff they say here up north. So, I mean, like seriously, weird to me, but also at the same time makes me kind of want donuts too. So, so yeah, I don't think I mentioned it in the last show, but a few weeks, like I think it was like a couple months ago, we had talked on this show about, I'm going to turn off my Liberty Librarian banner. You know who I am, right? Right. There's a little one down below if you get confused. Remember the treasure in the Rocky Mountains? I didn't mention this before. I post a little bit about it on my Facebook group, but someone found it. There's like a whole bunch of articles about it. Let me see if I can bring one of them up. I had it found earlier. And it's supposed to be like an anonymous person. So there's part of me that's like, did the guy who put it out there, he got scared because he's like in his 80s and getting old. Forrest Fenn, remember him? We talked about the Fenn treasure. What happened was, and this was like about a week ago, 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago it was found. So the treasure chest filled with gold and gems found in the Rocky Mountains. And he wrote a book, and it had clues in it. And so people every year were out looking for it, and a few people died looking for it. So I suspect it was found, but I also kind of suspect that maybe he got really freaked out and was worried that more people would die, especially after he died, and didn't want that to continue. So what he did show pictures of the treasure. And I don't know if this is him putting the stuff in the treasure box. Oh, I should show you. It'd be easier if you saw it, right? Right. I forget that we are not psychically linked. I'm sorry. I do my best. Okay. Oh, YouTube. Oh, let's see. There we go. So anyway, it was found that his treasure was found earlier this month, and rumors swirled about whether it was really found or if it had been a hoax all along. You know, like nobody is ever going to really find it. Ben tried to put some of those to rest by unveiling the first photos of the discovered treasure. So he's 89 years old. So I'm glad somebody found it if they did. And there was 3 pictures of the treasure on theNatesel.com, a fan blog for the treasure hunt that sparked 10 years ago. So 10 years of people trying to find it, and someone finally found it. I mean, I just feel like that's good news. It's weird news, but I like it. So one photo shows Fenn sorting through the bronze chest filled with gold, other artifacts that are supposed to be worth over $1 million. Another photo shows the treasure not long after it was discovered, and in third shows a picture of him wearing a silver bracelet that had been tarnished black. So what I'm wondering is, did the person who found it come and see him and they took pictures together? Or, I mean, because like if you had the treasure, why would you go to Forrest Fenn's house so he could take pictures of the treasure that he had put out there? Why didn't Forrest Fenn have pictures of the treasure that he was holding on to, so when it was found, you could see what it looked like? Don't know. You can't deny that there's a little bit of a weird feeling about it. So this is the bracelet of silver, which had been tarnished black. And There are many, they estimate as many as 350,000 people from around the world went hunting for that treasure. And according to the Santa Fe, New Mexican newspaper, some of them quit their jobs to fully dedicate their lives to the hunt, and some even died. You know, there's a part of me that's like, I love the movie Goonies. I love treasure and like, it's like, you know, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom and Raiders of the Lost Ark. You know, you want to go out and find treasure. But would you quit your job to go find treasure? Especially if you aren't really 100% sure that it exists. I mean, he says it existed, probably existed. But there's like a level of trust and faith that really you have to have a high level of that, and knowledge and the ability to do survival stuff and go out in the wild and follow clues. You have to kind of be the total package person to be able to do this. So nevertheless, I am very impressed that someone found it. So cheers to you, whoever found it. I hope you enjoy your newfound riches and glory. However, because you are being anonymous about it now, no one will know. And I mean, you may tell your close friends and they know. You got to tell somebody, right? And eventually somebody will go, that dude found that treasure. Although there is a tax side of it. So if you never tell anyone and you like kind of sell it off secretly, maybe you run around the feds a little. So that is kind of crazy, but I kind of like that. I thought that was an interesting thing, and I was very excited to see that somebody finally got it. Like, yay! That is good news, right? We all need good news. Another weird thing. I'm all about weird news this week. You know, let's see. Emerald Isle, say hi. Hello. Nice to see you again. I'm glad you can join us tonight. That's wonderful. So, you know, that whole, there's that fantasy life that all of us have, right? We're in our brains. We always think that we could go on capers and adventures and discover things like magic, and the world there's something unknown in the world, and especially in this time where we're kind of stuck at home, there's part of me that just really wants to go on a caper so bad. But I live vicariously through, you know, I read and I watch movies, and there's a lot of neat stuff out there that puts that thought in your head. I gotta look it up again. I don't think I shared this before, but I was really excited about, there was an elderly couple. Let's see. Okay, I just gotta find it again. I'm getting my brain together. Okay. I hope I didn't say this story already, because I think it's kind of freaking amazing. It's found, this one is in the Washington Post, and it was from a couple years ago. I think it would be a great movie to make, so somebody needs to write it, and it's not going to be me, because that's not my genre, but I love the mystery of it. Who knows, it's not my genre. My friend Laura Lavoie was saying, you know, sometimes you get this thing stuck in your head where you think you have to write a certain genre, and it's not always the case. Sometimes your best genre might be the one that you think you can't write. So anyway, I'm going to share it. This is a small town couple left behind a stolen painting worth over $100 million and a big mystery. So this is new to me. It's a couple years old, obviously. So 2018. And this couple, this very cute couple, they look like they could be your own mom and dad or your neighbors, Jerry and Rita Alter. Don't they look like nice people? Heck yeah. So what was amazing to me is this cute couple, like they seemed like normal people. They had a son. They lived over in New Mexico town called Cliff. And they kept to themselves, like all good, crazy criminal neighbors, like that keep to themselves and are nice. When you find their horrible secrets, it's the most amazing thing ever. So what happened was they were going through, this couple had died, and they both had died. And when the last of the two spouses died, a art it was sort of like an auction house kind of thing. They knew there was some really neat stuff in their house, so they bought it all at an auction, and they were going through it, and they took they took this art to their shop because it just looked very interesting and weird, and people kept noticing, and they go, "This looks like a painting by Willem de Kooning," and people like, "Yeah, you should get that looked at. It might be very valuable." And it actually was a Willem de Kooning painting, and it was worth an estimated $160 million, and it was hidden in their bedroom. So the deal was that more than 30 years ago, that same painting, the one that was hanging in their bedroom, disappeared the day after Thanksgiving from a University of Arizona Museum of Art in Tucson, Arizona. And it was an unsolved mystery until now, a couple of years ago. So a family photo had surfaced showing the day before the painting had vanished. A couple was, in fact, in Tucson. So the information was tied to it. Let's see if I wish I could click on it. It just like awkward. I wonder if I can just zoom out. I want you to see it. It's kind of a weird painting. Here you go. It's a lady. You see like boobs and whatever. And it's like, to me, it's not the most attractive painting, but I like different kinds of stuff. But that's a $160 million painting. So the story is, now I'll go back to reset. Reset my Zoom, baby. Okay. So the story was that on that day before Thanksgiving, they were locking up for the night, and a man and a woman walked in the museum, and then they leave 15 minutes earlier, and it was like towards the end of the day, and a security guard had unlocked the museum's front door to let a staff member in the lobby, and from the curator mentioned that, and then the couple followed them in. Since the museum was about to open for the day, so it was the opposite. It was early morning, so the guard let him in. And the man walked up to the museum's second floor while a woman struck up a conversation with the guard, distracting him. And a few minutes later, he came back downstairs, and then the two left. And then later, something wasn't right. The guard walked upstairs. He goes, "That was weird how they both left." And he saw the empty frame where de Kooning's woman ochre had hung. And so the museum had no surveillance cameras at the time. It was perfect. They found no fingerprints, so these people knew what they're doing. Witnesses described seeing a rust-colored sports car drive away, but didn't get a license plate. For 31 years, the frame remained empty. They never found it. They didn't have any clue to who found it. It was a mystery. Okay, so I'm going to switch back to me. So anyway, this is how it goes. So they found no fingerprints. So the first spouse died in 2012, so about 8 years ago, and Jerry Alter died. And then his widow, Rita, died 5 years later at the age of 81. So then after their deaths, the painting was returned to the museum. But how did this get there? Did they steal it themselves? Did they buy it from someone who stole it? Was it given to them? I mean, there's such a mystery of it. So what was interesting to me is that there's theories swirling around this couple, and I just thought that was really neat. So they had the husband had he made money doing adventure travel around the country. So he would go and basically write stories about going to places in the world, make money on the stories that he wrote. Very interesting. And his wife Rita was a speech pathologist at a local school district. So as normal as you could pretty much think, except for the adventure travel stuff where you're just like, they're pleasant, they're quiet people, nice people. So, but a year before Jerry's death, he published short stories called The Cup and the Lip. exotic tales. And the stories were an amalgamation of actuality and fantasy. And he wrote in the preface, that's his exact words, actuality and fantasy. So there were none were literary masterpieces. They weren't that great, but one stands out in the wake of the de Kooning discovery. The Eye of the Jaguar concerns itself with Lou, a security guard in an art museum. One day, a middle-aged woman and her 14-year-old granddaughter show up. The older woman asks Lou about the history of the prized emerald on display. 6 months later, she and her granddaughter return, then leave in a rush. Wow, those two seem to be in a hurry. Most unusual for visitors to a place like this, Lou thinks. He reinspects the room and realizes the emerald is gone. Returning to the door, he sees the pair speeding away and runs out to stop them. The older woman floors the accelerator, crashing into Lou and killing him. Then the two speed off, leaving behind absolutely no clues which police could use to even begin to search for them. So, I mean, this is a description of the emerald sitting in the empty room, and two pairs of eyes exclusively are there to see, it concludes. So, it's easy to make the jump that he and his wife, or maybe he and their son, had stolen the painting, or and maybe other things. I mean, that just opens things up, doesn't it? It's kind of nuts. So he could easily have been describing this painting, but nobody thought of that until the painting was discovered in their bedroom after they both had died. It had been positioned in a weird way too, and I'll find a picture of it. It was, when you have like art that you like, you don't put it behind stuff so nobody else could see it. But they had it so their bedroom door would open, and the only way you could see it is if you were in the bedroom and the door was shut. So anybody from the outside of that bedroom wouldn't even know that art was there. You would only know if you were one of the people who were supposed to be in that bedroom. Just somebody walking by in the hall wouldn't see it. You wouldn't think to peek behind a door for a priceless piece of art that was stolen. So they began liquidating the assets, and antique dealers from Silver City came and got it, and they found it, and they bought the painting and as much of the other stuff as they could for about $2,000. So that was amazing. So right away you'd be like, wow, they really made it good. It's like one of those where they buy a storage locker, and you get like some priceless work. But they actually had looked at it for a while, and then they go, oh, someone said, like, this looks like de Kooning. This looks like de Kooning. And they basically brought someone in and found out that it was the real thing. And he spotted the article about the theft online and Googling it. And he called the museum and he said, I got the student receptionist. And I said to her, I think I have a piece of that stolen art from you guys. And she said, what piece? And I said, the de Kooning. And she said, hold, please. So the curator from the museum came out and described how the painting had cracked as if it had been rolled up. It was a detail that no one could have invented. The dimensions were an inch off from the woman ochre, and it corresponded with it being cut out of the frame. So it was appropriate. And so the dealer took the painting home and stayed up all night with guns because he get startled when he heard a scrape outside of his house. He thought somebody was coming to steal this painting because it was worth so much money. So a delegation from the museum arrived the next day, and she walked up, dropped down on her knees and looked. You could just feel the electricity, and they confirmed it. How cool! How cool! Several people told the New York Times that they had a red sports car similar to the one spotted in the museum. This couple, they said they even had home movies of this couple with their red sports car. So it really kind of matches. And she had a red coat, just like the woman at the museum. There was like a real estate agent put the Alter's house on the market, and she had taken home a luggage set, and inside found glasses and a scarf that matched the police description. So they held on to like their disguises and all of that. And so there's a family photo showing that they're in Tucson the night before the painting was stolen. So it all lines up, kids, all of it. And here is what I'm going to show you. There has been an investigation underway for a year now, and I have to look it up. I'm going to look it up right after this. The FBI had declined to comment until the case is closed. I'm going to mute this for just a second while I bring up that other. So anyway, yeah. This is what the police sketches were like. So the guy had a mustache, even though the gentleman didn't have a mustache in real life, and the woman had like a headscarf and glasses on. But what's interesting, if you look a little further, they show a picture of them. They don't believe, like people are like, I can't believe they'd be involved in it. It doesn't make any sense. There's a documentary out there. It's let's see if I click it, I'll just show you a second. It's 22 minutes. It's called Discovery of de Kooning, a WFA documentary. I'm gonna put a link to it in the show because I think it'd be worth seeing. Oops. Let me just get it. Get it. I want you to like have that. It's a really great little short documentary. It shows more of the imagery and a little bit more pictures of what it looks like. I think it's really great. But I'll show you back, like, okay, that's what they look like in the sketches. Let's go back up, kids. Look at it here. Very easy to see how this woman could easily have put her hair up in a scarf and put glasses on, and he put a mustache on and covered his head a little bit more. People can look that way. Goodness, hold on a second. You get like some weird stuff. It's like political calls usually this time of day, and it's odd. There you go. Fun. You know, there was another article. Oops. I just love it. It's like, it looks so neat. I can't believe somebody would cut art from a frame. Can you? I know there was a follow-up on it. Let me just quickly find it. Okay, here it is. It's Insider. Yeah, but where was it? Alter. I'm gonna look that up. I think there's something from this last year, and I'm missing it. Let's see, past year. They think they were people who stole other art too. I mean, I wouldn't put it past any of that, right? I mean, it could be, but it's sort of weird, isn't it? They're mild-mannered school teacher couple, very cute, nice people, family people, and oh, here, this is another. Here, I gotta show this. Gots to. Okay. Make sure I'm not still muted. Okay, good. So on this, they had there was another case where they think they might have done something as well. There was a the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum. There was a robbery, and the gentleman who did this were wearing like security outfits, and the gentleman again had a mustache, but this time the other person had a mustache, and they were trying to figure out maybe that person was her wearing a disguise to look like a man, or maybe it was another relative. Could this also have been the Alters? And they had a son, and they think maybe he was disguised as a woman, or did like this time, like different robberies, he brought different members of the family and they all backed each other up. So supposedly it's still an ongoing FBI investigation, and I just checked and I haven't seen an update. But here's what I wanted to show you. This is the picture of the painting behind the door. So you can see how easily it would be to miss that because it's hidden. Who would put a painting behind a door except someone who really wants to hide it? So that is the clue. So if you want to like learn more, maybe there's more clues in his 2011 book, The Cup and the Lip, The Exotic Tales. Maybe every story he wrote had a little bit of truth to it. That's the thing that I wonder. So if you're looking for something to write, this is an ArtNet News for this one, and the other one was in the Washington Post. So very good article about a family that had capers. The family that capers together stays together. Ooh, hi Tony. Howdy from Kennewick. Hello, nice to see ya. So you can tell I'm obsessed with capers this week. I feel like, if we keep having pandemic and quarantines and stuff, who's in for a lovely caper? I wouldn't mind having something interesting to plan and plot out. Like right before all of everything shut down, and when I could travel, and it was spring break was the last time I could go anywhere. And I was on the plane, and we watched free movies on the plane, which is yay, free movies. The one I watched was, what was that called? It's gonna like break my brain. Movie. Sometimes the internet like reads my mind, and I love it. The heist one. God, what is that? It's gonna kill me. I just hate it when you're on the air and you just can't think. It's like Ocean's 8. Was that it? Because it was like Ocean's 11. Okay, I gotta look it up. And then also I'm opening an article that talks about heist movies that star women, because really, why do guys get to have all the fun? I think we should have more female capers. It reminds me of another movie I'm gonna look up at the same time. My internet just got really slow. It's based on a true story. Housewives stealing lottery. Okay, type. Okay. It was an old movie. How to Beat the High Cost of Living, 1980s movie, where housewives, you remember Susan St. James? She was really cool in that. It was very cute. It had Jane Curtin, who I love, Jessica Lange. You need to look for it, because even though it's cheesy as hell now, it's kind of based on a true story. All these women were cutting coupons and trying to have enough money to live. I mean, we're all kind of going through that right now. And these women, these housewives, figured out a way, because they had different ways to get into where the lottery was. They had one of those great big pits where it had the dollars floating around, and they were going to suck out all the money and then run off with it. Very cute, and they're all super good. And Dabney Coleman was in it. God, who all was in it? There's so many movies. It was pretty fun. I don't know if it'll hold up the test of time, but I was like a little kid when this came out, and How to Beat the High Cost of Living put the seed in my head that anybody, housewives, anybody can have a caper if they are willing and smart enough, and they can work together. You need a team. One person, there's cost and benefit to this. Here's how I'm gonna sell doing a caper. Oh, last time you flew, Pan Am was still selling cigarettes. Oh Lord. and you can smoke on the planes. I remember God, in the 90s, I remember flying, and they'd have ashtrays in the armrests, and then they started to get away from that. So yeah, it's different. I remember being in college, and they had bullpens on campus, so you could smoke in different parts of campus. And this is before campuses are all like smoke free pretty much everywhere. Yeah, this is how I got on my tangent. So I remember going and having to pick up equipment at the library because I worked as a student there. And then you had to they had old fashioned video carts, those great big square TVs and a VCR on it. And you're supposed to wheel it on their giant wheels to parts of campus where they wanted to show movies. And when I went back there, all the dudes in the basement were smoking and working. And that is just like, I think if somebody like sat at their desk at work and lit up a cigarette and started to go to town on it, they would definitely get some looks and probably some crosswords. But times they are changing. But I still think that we could have capers. And the heist movies, it was Ocean's 8. That was the one. Ocean's 8 was, let me see if I can find the thing. Had Sandra Bullock, right? So Debbie Ocean, her brother was the original Ocean, George Clooney, right? So they made a heist at the Met Gala, and it had a really cool cast. And I watched this for free. I never saw it in the theater, but it was Cate Blanchett, Mindy Kaling, Sarah Paulson from American Horror Story. I like her. They had Awkwafina, who's hilarious, and Rihanna is in it. And and Helena Bonham Carter. I mean, seriously. Anne Hathaway was in it. There's an amazing cast of women. So, nowadays girls have actual heist movies where it's like they have technology and it's well planned, like a full on heist. Yes, that's where we're going. I like it. There are also some recommended heist movies with women, and I will mention a couple. There's like A Fish Called Wanda, and that was, it's a mixed group. So, but it had Jamie Lee Curtis, who was a goddess, right? Planning a Jewel Heist. How fun was that? Set It Off. That was great. Vivica A. Fox. That was a cool one. Queen Latifah. Who else was in that? Jada Pinkett Smith. I'm drawing a blank. There's like so many people in that. It's a really interesting movie. Sugar and Spice I haven't seen. It was back in the 90s? 1999. Catch That Kid. And that one had Kristen Stewart. And she was really young then. So it was like 2004. It's almost like 15 years ago, right? So it was like a female heist. So she did the heist. Her father was paralyzed. So she wanted to get participate in experimental surgery, and she used the heist from the bank to get money so she could help him with his surgery. Spring Breakers I haven't seen, but I heard that Vanessa Hudgens in it and Selena Gomez, and it was kind of a crazy spring break heist. Nobody believes girls in bikinis could do something like that, and yes, they could. I think it's more distracting, but I think it's interesting. Bling Ring is real life. And I don't think of it as a heist. I think of it as a robbery. So, but it did take some brains for people to figure out how to break into the homes of people like Paris Hilton and Megan Fox, Orlando Bloom, all of those, Rachel Bilson, Lindsay Lohan. So these kids committed heists so they could be themselves sort of like a celebrity. It was an interesting idea. But to me, the difference between a heist and a robbery is like the amount of planning that goes into it, the intelligence and getting away with it. Whereas like the Bling Ring is like a bunch of teenagers who are very shallow and don't care. They're like, I just want the clothes. I want them. They don't deserve them. I do. So it's this narcissistic, ego-driven thing. Whereas a lot of times, like the art theft ones, the ones where they're jewel heists, breaking into a bank, it's about the puzzle of trying to figure out how to steal that much money. And I think it's kind of exciting. Oh, Set It Off, right? So good. So good. Let's see. Oh, I'm getting some good ones. Okay, here. Take it and run. Get the money. Hi, Dawn. And Ocean's 11. I love that. I mean, like, and it's weird when you watch a movie and you're just like, everyone's so beautiful. It's amazing. Hey, Dawn. I'm just going to show a couple of people because I was so focused on thinking about my list of movies that, what have I missed any? Are there any other female heist movies that you can think of? There are so many like crime kind of things and puzzles. I just think it's cool when you think that we're in a world where they're finally giving. It's not just the cute white guy that they all look the same, and you could probably put them in either or movie, and not really know. You have people of color. You're getting women. You're getting like kids. You're getting adults. You're getting older people. I mean, it's like an untapped amount of viewpoints in this world, and I get really excited that every once in a while you can see, oh, Hustlers. I need to put that one on my list too. That's a good one too. Set It Off. I want to watch that again now. I just think it's really cool because then you can put yourself in as a hero, the anti-hero, and nothing makes my imagination go on fire quite like having a movie where I could see myself in that role. Fish Called Wanda, right? Isn't that so good? Oh man, there are just so many, and there are ones where they kind of go off in that direction. It's like a side thing where the women are coming together and figuring out how to. There was a show too where they're mobsters, and that's sort of a similar idea too, where it's halfway between. Yeah, that one. Oh, Mad Money, right? Right. Oh my God, Clarity After Dark. You're so right. There's so many good ones. I mean, I don't know if I'm advocating for you to do heists, but geez, if it gets any worse, I'm just gonna do a heist. This is like they'll show this, like Heather Biederman is in jail, and this is her confession. I'm gonna do a heist. Like, cheers, y'all, and then it'll be like, oh my God, that could be like the beginning of a movie, right? It's like how does one do this? So yeah, that was one of my things growing up too, is that I would sit with my family, and we were all heavy readers, read, and we would look at mysteries, and like I read a lot of weird stuff. So like true crime, I've gone through phases where true crime. Oh yeah, the Mom's Doing Heist. See, that's the one I was thinking of too. There was a TV show. So I mean, obviously there's an audience for this, right? We would talk about like, okay, if you wanted to blow up a house, how you would do that, and like using true science and using your brain, and how would you do this? You know, how would a criminal do this? How would you get away with it? Not like we ever did anything like that, but it was a very interesting exercise in that the difference between super criminals and normal criminals is the amount of planning you would have to do. People who just do things because they see opportunity are going to get caught. But people who plan it out, yeah. Well, that was one thing. I saw this the other day, is like, what do you have to lose? Either way, you rob a bank, you have free room and board, and you can pay for your medical for the rest of your life, or you go to jail and you have free room and board and medical for the rest of your life. So you can't lose. I mean, I will say the downside to actual prison might be that, like in the pandemic, that you're kind of locked up with other people in the same disease and they don't really care. But yes, I love the idea of heists. I mean, it's so cool. They usually have somebody who's like a Q type person who's like doing technology, and then you get the cool gear. It's like Mission Impossible stuff where they're like going around lasers and getting art off the wall. How much more awesome could something be? Like, really, I love it. I love the idea of all of it. So yes, to do for 2020. Set It Off. Oh man, I'm a total tangent person today. Do you remember the Michael Douglas movie Falling Down? I was thinking the other day that we are kind of like living in a real world version of that movie. That's your assignment too, is to go see that one, where he walks around the city and he's just sick of shit. He's like sick of, he gets fired, and I think he's getting divorced, and there's like everything's going wrong, and he's not happy. So I think he was decided he was going to have a death by police, but instead he's actually quite successful and goes pretty much like the whole way, like stopping crime, telling people what he thinks. And it's sort of like the white guy fantasy version of it. And I think we needed it to be instead like a person of color fantasy of that. And I think we're living it right now. It's starting to like taking down the police, letting them know that racism isn't going to be accepted. Yes. It's a really good movie, dude. Such a good one, but at the same time, I think it'd be really neat if they adapted it for today. That's my assignment for somebody who's looking to write a new screenplay. It sounds really weird to say it out loud, but you need to have a person of color doing that. But instead of it being, like have the really cool black dude who's an accountant gets fired, and he's mistreated by the police. He's mistreated, and he's like, nope, I'm done with it. And, it's kind of like there's a whole genre called revenge fantasy where people feel powerless and they have these things happen to them again and again. And it's what a lot of us normal people will do, is to watch it and go, yeah, I wish I could do that, but I'm never going to do that. So, right? Right. Bingo. So I don't know. That's my commentary on movies. I watch a lot of movies in quarantine. I'm sure you guys do too. It's a lot more TV than it ever used to be. I was much more of a movies kid growing up. And now with Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime, it's like nonstop, like shows coming out all the time. Right now I've been watching there's like a finale this Sunday. It's it's called Penny Dreadful, City of Angels. It's like another series. The Penny Dreadful original series was like all about the monsters, like vampires, like Dracula, but not Dracula. It was werewolves and Frankenstein and like so many cool things. It was a really good show. Oh, yes, I would love that. Here. I'm putting this up. Clarity After Dark. Yes. We need to do a movie night Zoom where we also hang out in the movie, like in the Netflix and the party feature. I heard that Facebook was going to start doing that. They bought some of the software to do it. And I think that would be an awesome idea if we could have like comments, and then we could have it like a live stream show. So everybody, you start your movie at 8:00 and we all watch it together, get your popcorn, and we're going to talk about it. And then afterwards, maybe have a little commentary. Ooh, right? I think it would be awesome. I'm going to show. Ooh, yes. So I think if we can figure out a way to make that happen, it'd be really cool, not just for us, like who work at Freedom Revolution Network, but for all of you guys who like to watch. And we have a lot of fun. We really do. And there's so many good things, good movies. I watch so much demented stuff, and I go, you know how I am here. Like I go on tangents anyway, but like seriously, we need to do that. And it's kind of fun. You could have different kinds of genre. Even if you just did it once a month, like you could have 1 month be horror, another month be like a dystopian fantasy. You could have like true crime. I mean, like the potential for all the weird stuff, because we have so many different kinds of show on Freedom Revolution Network that we talk about everything, like medical mysteries. We could talk about there's that movie, God, what was it called, where they figured out how to treat their kid who had the mystery disease, and they came up with their own medical treatment for him without the doctors. I mean, like, so that movie would be amazing. Like, yeah. So anyway, don't get me started. I love that. I love movies. When I was a kid in school, I wanted to do a movie major, but they didn't have it at the school I was at. And I actually begged to get them to do a minor in it. And I took all the movie classes and they still didn't do it. But nowadays they actually have a movie minor at the school that I went to. So I'm like pissed, missed it by about 15, 20 years. So that's how that goes. All movies and series are too liberal shoving for me. Some of them, I think it's starting to kind of, especially with independent theaters. Here, I'll just show it. Making millions off of violence and big screen. They're trying to get my guns. I know. Oh, and documentaries. Oh my God. I always felt like movies that, when you say they want to take the guns, they haven't yet. They'd like to. But yes, I think eventually that's how you're going to know that it's really like serious if they start taking the guns out of the movies. You know how like everybody used to smoke on TV, and then all of a sudden you like rarely see anyone smoke on TV anymore, and they made it so you can't smoke in public, you can't do it. That's what I mean. Like when you start seeing guns getting legislated out of movies, then you know they're coming for your guns, baby. That's the way it goes. So yes, I would love documentaries. I actually think I would have so much fun with documentaries, even short documentaries. Like they have short films that I think would be awesome. There's so many. There's even series on Netflix that are just like about 15, 20 minutes. And that's like, a lot of people don't have a lot of time to watch full-length movies, but we do have time for about half an hour. That's why I always keep my show like right around an hour-ish, because I know like you got stuff to do. There's a lot going on in your life. You just do the best you can. It's cool. So we'll have to do that. I would love to. If you guys are interested, like send us notes. Send Freedom Revolution Network notes too, because we can like work on making that happen. I think it would be super fun. And who knows, maybe in the real world we'll have like an actual like live event together. That would be bodacious. Like all of us in one room, not quarantining, not social distancing. Whoa! I would love that. So, God, I'm almost out of time. Like I talk a lot. I'm sorry. I get it. There was one thing, let's see. I was going to like talk about news. I actually have been doing, American Library Association has a virtual conference this week, which it's really good. Like the presentations are excellent, but it's not the same. Just gonna say, not the same. I really get a kick out of the other day. Let me see. I gotta look it up. There was a speaker from, it's Library Freedom Project is what it's called. I can't remember her first name. I'm gonna have to look it up. She spoke about the importance of protecting our rights against censorship and protecting our rights against being tracked, and that they are using all of this as an opportunity right now to track us and to take away our rights. And she was the voice of purity and freedom in my mind that was talking about we need to be very thoughtful about even considering some of these features. And I am so excited. So next, I had thought about joining this group, and so I'm going to look her name up right now because it is so good. So I'm going to plug them because I really enjoyed that presentation yesterday. Library Freedom Project, libraryfreedom.org, and let's see, a lot of them are librarians or activists, hackers. She is cool. She's so cool. And I want to like let you know, let's see, there's cohorts. They've had like, they're on their fourth one, and they talk about privacy issues, and you can go and learn about it. Her name is Allison Macrina, and she's a founder and executive director. Really cool lady. I highly recommend you go check them out if you're in libraries or you're interested in learning about privacy for nonprofits, especially. They do an institute every year, and I'm going to try to see if I can get in on it because it's amazing. They closed it now for the fourth one. So yes, like stay tuned for the next one. So that I'm going to try for the next. I'm dragging butt because I know that like this next year I have to work on it's like my tenure track, and if I don't get that, then I'll do something else. If I get it, then I can focus on learning more about intellectual freedom, which is, I get excited about that, and finding ways to protect our freedoms in libraries and sharing the word, getting the word out. So that was one thing I really enjoyed. And as always, if you want intellectual freedom news, I only usually give you a little dabbling, but it's on the American Library Association site. They have, it's called oif.ala.org, Intellectual Freedom Blog. And so every week they come up with new news about intellectual freedom and showing us what kind of dystopian world we live in right now. It is kind of scary. So let's see, what is it I wanted to tell you? My brain keeps stopping today. They say those who exercise free speech should also defend it, even when it's offensive, says the Los Angeles Times opinion piece. Yes. French court strikes down that most of online hate speech is law. They strike down that law. That's not good. Privacy and cybersecurity. We don't know how protests are being surveilled. And here's why that's a problem. Because they're not sharing how they're tracking us through facial recognition, through tracking your devices, your phone. Like there are so many ways that they're tracking you. Sometimes by social media, if someone mentions that you're there, they write your name down a list. So that was an article that they mention it. And Zoom, for those of you who've been afraid to use it, and I stopped using it except for my work, will provide end-to-end encryption to all users after a privacy backlash. So good way to go, Zoom. And there is a furor over facial recognition technology landing on the UCCS campus. Let me just double check where UCCS is. University of Colorado Springs. Yes, that's right. So they're working on it. A lot of these end up being behind paywall. Or because I have super blockers on mine, as everyone should. I mean, I put pop-up blockers and VPNs, so like that helps. It's not going to stop everything, but it stops a lot. And the last thing I want to talk about, Facebook doesn't care. Okay, the internet's most censored space. Let's see. Apple's App Store shows we can be fine with digital zones that ditch the myth of free expression. Free speech absolutist. iPhone, iPad, Mac, Apple decides what apps you can download on your phone. So they can pick anything. They say the apps are dangerous. They can say that they're protecting you, but they also can say they don't like the words that are used. They can censor it. They can say there's fake news in an app. They don't like it. So I will say, some of the people on the New York Times loved it, but at the same time, I think that if you don't like a big company telling you what kind of apps you can and cannot have, there are a lot of workarounds, and that's why I choose Android phones. There are other options, but Android's easy for the layman, and you can get around a lot of those features and go directly through vendors. So I'm a big fan of the do-it-yourself kind of thing. The other thing, since we're talking so much about movies, is HBO Max is a new thing, a new channel, and so they're re-releasing Gone with the Wind with a new introduction. I thought that was interesting because they took it off and people are bitching because while it's a racist mess in a lot of ways, it's still a classic about the war in the South, Confederacy, and slavery. And I was forced to read that for junior high as an extra credit option, which really, I was an A student. I don't know why I needed extra credit for that. But I read a 1,000-page book, and I've always been amazed with my mass quantity and it's a romance. This is like the only time in my life I've been forced to read a romance for a class. And that teacher loved that movie. And she showed us Gone with the Wind. She had old-fashioned movie reels in her class. And the woman had like her hair styled like George Washington. She was a really nice lady. She liked me. But she would fall asleep during the movie. And what I figured out was if she fell asleep, nothing would wake her up except the bell between classes. So we'd just turn off the movie and sit there and talk. And then towards the end of class, we'd turn it back on. And so she'd see like we were still watching the movie and she'd hear the bell and she'd and go and turn it off. She retired like the year after that. But so it took us like about, I'd swear, a month to get through Gone with the Wind. It took forever. But they added a new introduction to explain the racist side of it, but that we learned from it. And it was a classic and it won awards. But also, like, there's a lot of things that you see behind the scenes that you need to pick up on, because this person was very vapid and thought they were the center of the universe. And they were the horror to other people. So I thought that was very interesting, and because I'm always interested in movie stuff. And they're testing coronavirus apps, tracing apps all over the world. So that's nothing new. In Germany, there's one. Even though in Germany, they're very privacy-minded, they actually have an app there. So they're trying to find a way to find that balance. So that is a more positive side of it, but I'm not happy. And in my own local news in Mankato, they're looking at, and this I think is going on nationwide, is they're looking at passing a local law to enforce face masks. And there's a lot of backlash, both on the side of small businesses who feel like they're going to be forced to enforce something that they shouldn't have to, and people who have health issues, they can't wear masks, they have lungs issues, like health issues that make it hard to breathe. There are people who rely on lip reading, and it like they're going to live in a world of silence and literally no communication because they won't be able to see it. And there are questions about like having fines, like $1,000 fine. And it's interesting to me how, you know, that they're so fast to enforce it when it's something that they're on their high horse about. And I think it's going to target people of color, honestly. I think they're going to use it that way. Whereas I think they're going to turn a blind eye to white people walking around without a mask. So honestly, I think it's something that we probably need to just have people are encouraged to do, have other options. But people fight with me on this all the time. So I get it. And I am very sensitive. I'm very sensitive about it. I wear masks all the time to help other people, but I have a hard time wearing the mask myself. So I'm looking at getting face shields, and hopefully that will be an acceptable alternative in this world that we live in. Who knows? Who even knows? So that's my smaller news. So I hope everything's going good for you guys. I have a couple weeks and I'll be in Orlando. I'm counting down, baby. First trip I've gone on in a long time, and I am nervous and excited all at the same time. So I will share my experience with you after I get back from that. But I'll have one more show before that, so you'll hear more about me just talking about that too. So I hope you have a great week. I am going to I'm going to talk to Clarity After Dark about maybe we can do a movie fest. How cool would that be? That'd be awesome. And if you have ideas for capers, send them to me, probably private message, and make it probably not easy for the feds to figure it out in the message. So we might have to switch to another system of discussion. Like I don't know. I was thinking Signal or something. I'm like, I'm really not good at crime, so you can tell. I will have to really think this out. By the time I figure it out, I'll probably be 90. I'll just be like, screw it, I'm doing it. So have a great week, guys. It's always wonderful to talk to you, and I hope you have a lovely rest of the week, and I will see you next Thursday. Have a good one, friends. See you later. Ending.